the All Progressives Grand Alliance or AGPA is facing a fresh crisis after the Anambra State Independent Electoral Commission refused to recognize the chief Edozie Njoku-led faction of the party. The faction has blamed the state's governor, Chukwuma Soludo, for the non-recognition by ANSEC despite a court judgment. Now, according to them, the court order recognizing Edozie Njoku's faction and official notifications his representatives at the stakeholders meeting ahead of the September 28 local government elections in the state were prevented from entering the venue. Well, APGA's National Administrative Secretary Okoro Benedict, who led the party's National Working Committee on a visit to Anambra State over the weekend, while condemning ANSEC's action, accused Governor Chukwuma Soludo of having a hand in their harassment. Now we're being joined by the National Publicity Secretary of APGA, Opara Ejimofor, to discuss how to resolve the crisis in the party, the release of Nnamdi Kanu, and the security situation in Anambra under Soludo and the Southeast. Thank you for being here on Arise News. Can you hear me?
Yeah, thank you, Sheyi, for having me.
All right, then.
My pleasure.
Yes, so let's go straight into it
I can hear you, Sheyi, yes.
Fantastic. So we are continuing to see this APGA national crisis dipping, and I want you to kind of bring us up to date as to what is on ground now before we go into the crux of the situation.
Okay, thank you very much, Sheyi, and I'm happy to be here today to, lend my own voice to the goings-on with regards to our party, the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA. Okay, you mentioned the name and some appellation that for me is unknown to me. By the constitution of the party, we don't have any position known as a National Administrative Secretary. It's not, it's not known to the constitution of our party, APGA. And the much we know is that, of course, there are subsisting, court cases with, with various court judgments, both for and against, with regards to, the leadership of the party. But one thing has remained very sacrosanct. I tell you that the APGA that we know and the APGA that we belong to and the one that we, that has the mandate of, the people to galvanize and promote the issues around the party is the one whose, convention was duly monitored by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, both in 2019 in Oka and in 2023. So this is a party that has its convention, like I mentioned, monitored and certified by a valid report of the INEC, of course, which of course is the lawful body to undertake such responsibilities. And we have challenged it both in court and in various other fora to, to dare, the INEC to, provide for us if there is any of such document, showing that they monitored any such activity outside the one that is known to us and known to the law. And up until date, we don't have such document, secondly, as a party, we are guided by the law. We have very implicit confidence, in the judiciary, and we believe in the judicial process. And as much as I know, the matter that it's APGA today, of course, is still a subject of litigation and of course is still in court, going as it were, very well. And what I can only say to you is that we are very confident that at the end of the day, the law will certainly take its course. But for now, it's just what it is. Yes.
Okay, but if we're looking at the accusations against Governor Chukwuma Soludo for allegedly influencing ANSEC's actions, those have, of course, raised concerns. And if we look at this current situation, how would you assess the impact of this, dare I call it, an internal division on APGA's performance, especially in the upcoming local government elections in Anambra State? Do you think this conflict could weaken the party's position in the state? ANSEC is a product of the law, and that law was not made by, the Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo. It's a product of, very painstaking enactment and legislative, effort, and that is what ANSEC is. And of course, it's just like somebody coming up to people come up to accuse, make a lot of
accusations, of course, they remain unfounded, and you should expect such from people who are clutching on straws. And as of today, what we know as a party is that the Anambra State Independent Electoral Commission has come up with a public and a formal notice, stating the date for the proposed local government election. And they have gone ahead to also, hold stakeholder, engagements with all the political parties. And of course, our party was represented. And they have also, gone ahead to, produce the guidelines for, the elections going forward. And as far as I know, our party is ready. The All Progressive Grand Alliance, especially the state, Anambra State chapter of the party, they are ready. And of course, we are on ground. And anytime, any day, APGA would have the day. So these internal wranglings are not by any stretch of imagination a source of distraction, to the true members of the party, because APGA belongs to the people. It is not the property or it's not the property of one individual or group of individuals. It belongs to the people. It's a people's movement. So the people are ready. The momentum is quite high in the state. They are auspicious. Looking forward to the 28th of September, to go to the polls to cast their vote for their preferred candidate. And I'm sure that by the 28th of September, we'll be back here to celebrate the people's mandate. And that's it with regards to preparations for Anambra State local government elections.
I mean, you've spoken about how ANTEC is a product of the law, and their refusal to, of course, recognize the Chief Edozie Ejoku-led faction. Despite this court judgment, will continue, or looks like it has intensified the crisis within APGA. Now, if we're seeing these tensions beginning or growing within the party, what strategies are being considered to bring about reconciliation and unity within the party? Is there a possibility of a dialogue between the warring factions, or are you looking at maybe legal or political steps to ensure that the court's decision is respected?
Okay, as it were, what the preoccupation of the leadership of the party is to, secure the party from marauders. Because, as far as we are concerned, you do not place something on nothing and expect it to stand. And the only way you can reply illegality is through the law. So, and we are of the very informed opinion that the ongoing, shenanigans from, some persons that are unknown to the, to the party and unknown to the law is just, it's a matter of, some time, and they will, come to realize legally that all they have been doing is trying to place something on nothing and expecting it to stand. If time would permit, maybe I could provide some kind of background.
Yes, please go ahead.
And a build up to where we are, where we are today. If you cast your mind, back, I had mentioned earlier that the only convention in 2019 monitored by INEC and which got a report, and we have the certified true copy of that report, affirming and confirming the conduct of a free and fair convention of the party in 2019 is, the Victor Ikoye, the then Victor Ikoye led NWC of the party. That was in 2019. And now, fast forward to, the 2021 electioneering, issues that came up. It dates back to, some persons who, in a bid to, have a hold of power, irrespective of, the means, traveled as far away to a place called Brenin Kudu in Jigawa State in 2021 to, forum shop a judgment of a state high court wherein they concocted and alleged that a purported convention of the party was held in Owerri, and in that convention, one Jude Edozie Ejoku was elected the national chairman of the party, and therefore that the Jude Edozie Ejoku is no longer the national chairman of the party, but has been replaced by one Jude Okeke, who up until date, as I speak to you, is unknown to anybody, living or dead. And the court granted the relief and affirmed that they had truly sacked Edozie Ejoku and replaced him with Jude Okeke. And this was the build-up to the Anambra State governorship elections. And these same people took the judgment of the High Court of Jigawa, Birnin Kudu, to INEC. And if you remember clearly, the Independent Electoral Commission removed in uploading the candidate of the party as at 10 in 2021, exchanged the name of Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo with one Chukwuma Umoji, ostensibly claiming that there is a court order, mandating the commission to recognize, that very candidate. And these persons were just unknown to us before that time. So the Victor Ikoye-led NWC approached the Appeal Court of Kano, to say this judgment is not, look at, it's affecting us, and the INEC is saying they are respecting it because it's a judgment of a court, but these are the issues. These persons are unknown to us. There was no such convention, and as of today, we are the validly elected NWC and leadership of APGA. And the Appeal Court of Kano, in its wisdom, accepted and also affirmed in very clear terms that the High Court of Jigawa lacked jurisdiction in the first place to even hear that matter. And they set aside that judgment, and declared very firmly, that Victor Ikoye is or was, as it were, the national chairman of APGA, and that was what saw to the emergence of Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo as the candidate of the party. This particular matter went up until, the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court affirmed the judgment of the appellate court, dismissing the reliefs of the plaintiffs now, and now we are saying that the Supreme, of course, their argument in this current, with this current development is that they are citing a clerical error by the Supreme Court in the page 13 of that judgment, where they were trying to give a background, just as I have given now, mentioned Edozie Njoku and Jude Okeke, and mistakenly, mentioned Victor Oye, where they were supposed to mention Edozie Njoku, just, in trying to provide a background to the judgment, to their affirmation of the, the judgment of the appeal court. Now, these same people, approach the Supreme Court to say, okay, if this clerical error wherein you mentioned Edozie Njoku and not Victor Ikoye, it means that Edozie Njoku should be the direct beneficiary of your judgment. And they wrote to the Supreme Court. I have letters on my, the copy of letters of the letter the Supreme Court replied to them when they wrote, asking the Supreme Court to clarify if the clerical, the clerical correction that the Supreme Court later did in replacing the name of Edozie Njoku with Victor Oye affected the judgment, the race of the judgment in any way, the substance of judgment in any way. And the Supreme Court, in very clear terms, in the letter, the Supreme Court replied their lawyers and told them that it was just a mere clerical error and does not affect the substance of the judgment in question. So that's where we are. So, going to continue forum shopping for, from one court to the other, seeking for easy way out just to hijack the leadership of the party is something, persons like us who are, true apostles of the party are vehemently opposed to. So, where we are currently is that they, ostensibly in trying to rope in, the INEC and indict INEC, went to a high court in Buhari, where the high court, I'm not a lawyer, but I actually began to wonder when a high court, had the powers to begin to interpret the judgment of a Supreme Court. Maybe the lawyers would have to tell us that. And I can tell you here on national television that there is nowhere in the judgment of the Supreme Court or the appeal court wherein there was a declarative order stating that Edozie Njoku is the national chairman of APGA. We have written to INEC challenging them to show us where the judgment, the Supreme Court made such declarative judgment or where they made that order, asking them to recognize Edozie Njoku, and they remove, striking away the name of Sly Ezeokenwa, whose convention that held on the 31st of May 2023 was validly monitored by the same INEC and also affirmed by a competent court of jurisdiction as a fairly and duly conducted convention. So of course, we are replying them with the law. I've provided some kind of background. And to your question, if there, of course, APGA is a very big family. We are the, the foremost progressive party, in Nigeria. And as progressive-minded people, we are sure willing to accommodate anyone who is ready to be law-abiding, at least to the extent of what the constitution of the party states. And anyone who is ready to help push the cause of the party, which of course is about the common man. So if everything, at the end of the day, those on the other side decide to be law-abiding, of course, we would accommodate and, encourage them to sin no more.
Of course. But let's kind of move away from everything that's been happening with APGA and talk about, this mounting pressure. We're seeing Southeast leaders mounting pressure for Nnamdi Kanu's release. We're seeing moves to secure the IPOB leader being intensified with the resolution of these governors to meet with, or who rather have met with President Bola Tinubu over the issue. Governors also, of course, are looking to tackle the insecurity in the Southeast area. But let's talk about Nnamdi Kanu very quickly. Your thoughts on this move by the Southeast governors to have him released?
Okay. Well, what I want to do is to actually state clearly, that the call for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it even predates the administration of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And the fact that leaders upon leaders, from various walks of life in the Southeast and from the Southeast have called for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, given the reality of the situation on ground in the Southeast, I think it's something that, in all honesty and in all fairness, that the federal government should actually look into. Because, as it were, it has brought about some kind of a precarious situation in the Southeast. And why the call continues to be intense or has intensified, as it were, is, someone would say that we need to, have a firm grip or a firm distinction between the malfeasance of some misguided young people or some misguided youth who are coming under the guise of agitation. We have to have a firm demarcation between these genuine agitators and people who have become very malfeasant and criminally so in upsetting the peace of the Southeast. And, by the reason of Nnamdi Kanu, we are sure now that, okay, if this is done, this person is out. Now we go to the table to discuss the way forward for the Southeast and, of course, for the country. But where that is still not done, we have a group of persons who are now parading under this guise of agitating for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, to perpetrate all forms of, very, dehumanizing criminality across, the region. And this is why the leaders are now saying, okay, give us this young man, release him to us. Let there be some kind of political solution, to his incarceration, to his continued incarceration. Let there be some political solution so as to help us, moderate the activities of our young people and also check the spate of criminality that is now taking some pseudo dimension, So it's a valid call, and I want to align myself, to that call, as a young progressive, that, the federal government should, just like, should, as a matter of fact, this should have been done like yesterday, the release of, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. As it were, I may not totally agree to, his means or agree to whatever he is about, but my fundamental interest is the peace, the security of lives and property of the region of the Southeast. And if the starting point to ensuring that lasting peace would be his release, then please, we beg and, we plead and call on the federal government to please heed to the call of the people.
All right, then this has been a very, very interesting interview. Thank you so much for being here. I'm talking to the National Policy Secretary of APGA, Opara Ejimofor. We appreciate your time and analysis here on Newsday.